Let's get started with our introduction. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Leap, I'll give a quick overview of what exactly Leap is. So Leap is a point of sale application that digitizes every stage of the in-home sales experience. So that includes things like creating documents like surveys and assessments. You can import measurements to help you generate estimates in seconds. You can store your sales materials like your brochures, before and after photos, videos, links to other resources, and even your sales presentations directly within the app. It also accounts for financing costs and allows you to submit applications to lenders and helps you create proposals and contracts to help you win the job. So with that, I'd like to introduce you all to our speaker today, Steve Stencil. Steve is the creator of Leap and has been actively developing the Leap application for over 10 years. Steve comes from a background in the home improvement industry. He started off in windows and roofing, where he was a sales rep for several years before he realized there was when he realized that there was a lot of room for improvement there. So he learned how to code and learned how to build a system that was scalable that he could use to help himself sell more and consequently help others as well. So there's a lot more to this story, and Steve tells it a lot better than I do. So Steve, I'll turn this over to you. And
Awesome.
I'll go ahead and...
So if you give me presenter rights, I'll share my screen.
Yep, it's coming your way right now.
All right, here it comes. And you should.
Yep.
Is it showing? It says it's showing.
It is. You're all good. Yep.
All right. So what I want to do is I want to go through. When we first started putting this webinar together, is hey, what are some new things, like some hidden ideas, some hidden features inside of Leap that a lot of customers might not know about, because doing in-home sales like I was doing, I was working for one of the larger home improvement companies. We've made every mistake, every inefficiency, we've done it, and over the years of onboarding other companies and having them use Leap, they uncovered other little things that we can make our app and our platform do, that just makes everyone's life easier, just comes little cool tweaks and stuff. So we started brainstorming all the little hidden features and functionality inside of the app and decided to do a webinar on it. And that's really what this thing is all about. So the way that I like to set these up is by first giving you kind of like a problem, or an issue that you might run into. And some of these things, a bunch of them, I hope you're nodding your head yes, like yes, we've ran into those, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then I'll also like to give you the solution of how Leap can pretty much alleviate that. So the first one is, how professional do you look in front of your customers? Home improvements is one of those, we're one of the only industries that I know of, just home services in general, where a customer invites someone out to their house and they're buying something sitting at their kitchen table. Every other product that they buy, the only other time they do that is on the internet. They will go on the internet and they order something through Amazon or Walmart.com or whatever it is. So when you're sitting in front of the homeowner at their kitchen table, that is a foreign buying experience to them. But there's a couple things that it's a positive, because it kind of levels the playing field for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a very large company or you're you just started and you're an owner operator. If you're sitting across from the homeowner, it's you and the homeowner, the same as if it's you and the homeowner as a small contractor or you and the homeowner as a very big contractor. So the way that you present yourself in front of the homeowner can will win or lose you jobs. If I was sitting in front of the homeowner and I'm presenting myself, I was never the cheapest price. I never sold on price. We always sold on the quality of the product and the company that was installing it. Our price was usually one of the highest in the industry. So put yourself in the customer's shoes. How comfortable would they feel buying from you? So there's a couple things that Leap will do to help you with this. One is you're going to be using a device, a tablet or computer, to spit out your number. Now, I used to always compare this to going to a grocery store and you put all your stuff up on the counter. You really, it's a guessing game of how much it's going to be at the end. But when the cashier rings it up, she hits the total button, the price is the price. You know that the computer added it up correctly. And I used to use this to my advantage, because I would put all the measurements inside of Leap, and then when I would present the price to the homeowner, I'm like, hey, it's kind of like the cashier at the register. It just spits out a number, and I'm just here. I'm the messenger here to present it to you, and it's just much more professional. Like, imagine being a customer, sitting from the customer's point of view, and having a sales rep come in to do everything digitally. It's all computed by computer. You present it to them in a very professional manner on a nice digital, either iPad, or you send it directly to their inbox. And then you have the guy come down and he's handwriting everything. And even if he can generate a price right then and there, you're sliding that piece of paper over to the homeowner. It just makes the customer feel a little bit more comfortable when you're doing it, all digital, and you look much more professional and put together. Leap does a couple things that make you look professional: freeform drawings and sketches. You can draw exact specifications on the proposals. So if you want to draw like a little floor plan, an aerial view, take a picture of it and draw on it, you can do that. Mark up existing photos or documents so you can draw on those. I remember like when I was selling gutters, I used to take a picture of the house and draw on the house where the gutters and the downspouts were going to be located. So that way the customer knew exactly was included on their contract. When it went through the production process, they knew exactly what was supposed to be ordered. The installers knew exactly what to install and where to install it, and it just connected those dots from the time of the sale all the way through installation. So the next one, this is a funny one. This is actually a guy I used to work with. Matt, if you're listening, this is your feature. You know all about this. He came in. He was a very good closer. He has a very good talent of closing deals. I remember one month he closed like 85% of the leads that he ran. I mean, he was just crushing it. He put up $300,000+ in revenue, but he got paid for none of it, or a very small percentage of it, because he sold everything at or below minimum. So, if you have any sales reps, 2 or more sales reps, you're probably nodding your head yes that you have a sales guy that can close deals left and right, but he never makes any money, and the company never makes any money on his or her deals, because they always sell them at or below minimum. So, since we're using technology at the time, I was like, okay, I'll figure out a way, because it's all psychology. If the sales rep just does the math, he comes up with a number, and if he knows he can't sell below that number, then you just got to kind of trick, for lack of a better word, trick that rep into selling it at a higher number. You just can't discount more or less. This also comes in handy is, like, let's say you have senior reps that are allowed to discount more than other reps. Leap has a way to do this. So you can set a discount percentage inside of Leap for each individual rep, as well as each individual office or market, and individual products. So I could have windows discounted a certain percentage, I could have roofing discounted a certain percentage, and then I can have senior and junior reps that can discount them more or less than the other reps. So what we did is put an additional, like, let's say that the maximum discount was 20%. On this particular rep, Matt, we made his where he could only discount him 15%. So he was not allowed to drop below, because what he would end up doing is discount at the full 20%, but he messed up on his measurements, and he measured 15 square instead of 16 square, and then when it came back, he was below minimum because you had to add in the additional square. So you can put these safeties or guardrails in place inside of Leap that prevent your reps from selling it below the minimum price of where they're supposed to be. The next one I want to talk about is giving yourself every opportunity for your deals to net by offering financing. This is one that I do not think is utilized enough in our industry. And if you're not using financing, you should absolutely be using it. It will increase your closing percentages overnight. It will also increase your dollars per ticket. And if you are using financing and you're not using multiple lenders, especially in the house, you're leaving money on the table. So there were plenty of times where I would run leads, and actually, let me click this little bullet point. So I would run leads and I would submit a deal, let's say through, I don't know, Dividend. We'll use the first one on the list. I would submit it through Dividend and it will be a turn down. Well, it was a turn down for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe they pulled Experian instead of TransUnion. But then I would run it through Foundation, and Foundation would pick up the deal with the exact same credit terms and maybe even the same interest rate. So there's no reason, especially if you're using Leap, that you shouldn't be able to just click into one lender, fill it out, submit the application. You can get an approval or decline inside of Leap, and if one lender turns it down, you can click into the next lender, and all the information that you filled in the first one will auto-populate into the next one. So it's not even like you have to do double data entry. You fill in all the other missing fields that lender asks for specifically, and you go ahead and hit submit again. That makes training your reps how to submit financing very quick and easy, because you only have to train them how to do it once through one lender and one set of user credentials, which will be Leap, and then Leap is going to do it, do all the rest. So if you're not submitting financing, you should absolutely do it, and you should also do it through multiple lenders in case the first one turns it down. The other one is ever had a check not check. I can't talk today. Ever had a check not make it back to the office? I remember specifically an instance when a sales rep sold a deal. He went to a Baltimore Orioles game, parked in the parking lot at the Orioles. His car got broken into, and his sales kit in his briefcase, which I guess they thought there was a laptop in the briefcase, which there wasn't, but his sales kit in his briefcase was stolen. He had just ran a lead, that earlier that day, and he had a contract with the customer's check sitting on the clipboard. And even if that check got stolen, and they had to go back to the homeowner. The homeowner had to get that check voided, and write another check. It looked very unprofessional. It's just something that nobody ever wants to deal with. Or the one where the sales rep just loses the check, right? You have people out in the field, and sales reps, are collecting checks. They don't drive it right back to the office. They go run another appointment, whatever it is, and you have customers' information floating, out in the wild. Same thing with credit card information. There's contractors out there that are writing credit card numbers down on contracts, on sticky notes, on separate sheets of paper, and then they just sit on clipboards. And even if safely makes its way to the office, what happens to it then? Does it get scanned and uploaded into some type of CRM or into a digital file somewhere? Who has access to that file? Our employees, they could download it, they could screenshot it. There's all kinds of stuff. Everything that I just mentioned has happened either through the company that I work for or through other companies who, we have since brought on and started to adopt the technologies that Leap has to prevent these types of things from happening. So one of the things, the solution to all of these problems is our secure payment capture feature or functionality. This allows you to take payments on the spot, payment methods on the spot, and you can do checks or credit cards. What's really nice about this is if you were to capture a check, you not only do not have to turn a check in, so you don't have to worry about it getting lost. It is going to be secure, so you don't have to worry about the information being stolen, but you also don't have to pick up a completion check, because what we're going to do is capture the routing number and the account number on that bank account from that check, store it securely, and then give you a way to run ACH transactions through just like your credit card processor. So that means when you need to run a deposit, you run a deposit. When you need to run a draw, you just go in our system and run a draw on the same payment method. You need to run a completion, you just go in and run a completion. You don't have to hunt the customer down to get them to write another check each time that you have to collect payment. It's much more convenient for the contractor, the sales rep, and the homeowner, especially the homeowner. This is another one that ties back into the professionalism aspect, where when the customer can just do it that way. It's kind of like where you put your credit card in on Amazon, and you never have to worry about putting your credit card information again. Amazon will remember it and allow you to run multiple transactions whenever you need. And then we also just launched, we fast-tracked this because of COVID, the ability to collect payment remotely. So what this allows you to do is, let's say you need to send the customer a contract, or the customer wants to pay with a different payment method. Maybe they paid their deposit with a credit card and they want to pay the balance with a check, or vice versa. We now have a way that you can send the customer a remote payment request, so that they can, on their own device, open it up and fill in their checking or bank account information, as well as their credit card information, then hit submit, and you can set it up to either just capture that payment method for a later transaction, or go ahead and run an initial transaction the moment that the customer completes it. And then we will hold on to that payment method so that you can run multiple transactions in the future if needed. So the next one is when you have a customer ready to sign, but their spouse isn't home to sign off. We used to call these BBACs or rehash. They kind of go hand in hand. But let's say that you had, this is really fast track with COVID too. But let's say you have a customer that calls you back and says, okay, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on the project. If you're not doing anything digital, or you have no way to really do a digital sign, and the rep was just there the night before, you're now going to have to take that rep, take them off of any other appointments that you have scheduled, and send them out to that customer's house to get everything signed up, pick everything out, et cetera, write it all down on paper and collect the signatures. But there's no reason that you can't do this digitally. Leap has a way. So here, let me flip my little bullet point. Leap has an integration with DocuSign that allows you to drum up your contracts however you need, your contracts or your change orders, and then you can just click the little DocuSign button, and it will put all the tabs and initial capture tabs everywhere that it needs to go, and then you send it off to that homeowner. What's nice about this is you can, let's say there's a husband and a wife, instead of scheduling an appointment where both of them have to be there, which in itself could be a challenge, you could have had, so, okay, Mr. Mr. Jones, I'm going to send that document right over. I'll go over exactly what we talked about last night and have all the everything outlined on there. And it'll come in your inbox as soon as you review it and sign it. It'll automatically dump it into your husband's inbox. As soon as he's done signing it, it'll come to me, and then which in turn will upload into the CRM or whatever you set your rules up to do. And then you don't have to schedule another appointment. Again, going back to that whole professionalism thing, that is so much more convenient for the homeowner because they don't have to take time out of their day to schedule an appointment where both homeowners have to be home, where a stranger has to come into their house and sign this all up. They could literally be at the kids' soccer practice, sign it on their phone. Husband can be at work or wherever it is, he signs it on his laptop, and then it comes back to your home office where you just complete the entire process. Combine that with a remote payment request feature, and now you can send the customers contracts with payment requests without ever stepping foot in their house. So we have companies who are using this on Rehash now, where their call center reps are calling customers back using information that was initially captured from Leap when the sales rep was sitting in the customer's house pitching the deal. And then, they have all the pictures that the rep had taken initially. They have all the notes and measurements and pricing that the rep had taken initially. And now I can send the customer a payment request, a contract with a payment request that they can just sign and fill out all on their own device. And now I'm selling 100% virtually without having to schedule another appointment. The next one, this is one of the real hidden gems, and this is not just in Leap. You actually don't need Leap to use this. It's just Leap adds in the icing on top, the cherry on top. If a rep is in the field and has a question and they need answered while they're in front of the homeowner, what do you do? You might have the rep send a text message to a sales manager. You might have the rep call in, but then you have to excuse yourself from the homeowner. We used to do this on price drops. You have a sales rep sitting at the house and he has, he needs to get authorization on a price drop or a price on a specific product that he might not have pricing on. How do they do that? Well, the best solution is a group chat. GroupMe is one we used to use, and Leap has a direct integration with. So what we recommend is you create a support channel, especially if you're using Leap, that reps could post questions if they have a question. Hey, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? Your reps could post messages into a group chat, and then other reps can then chime in. So you would get like a group effort of people helping out, to where your sales manager might not be immediately available for a phone call or a text message. This would allow your sales reps to kind of collaborate together. There's a very low effort, high impact thing that you can do. You can literally set this thing up now. GroupMe is completely free. You can create different groups for different reps, or everybody in the same sales channel, a support channel, and then a sales channel. And what I mean by sales channel is creating recognition for all of your reps when they sell a deal. And this is where Leap comes into play, because Leap has a direct integration with GroupMe. And if all your rep, you already have a group chat set up with them, you can have Leap post messages as a bot into your group chat, so that every time a rep sells a deal, it can pick a random message that you can define. You can create as many random messages as you want, and it will just randomly pick one, and it will post it into the group chat saying, hey, Jeff sold for 25K, great job. Or finally, Joe sold something, 15K. And then your reps can like the message inside of there, and it creates a little bit of gamification of sales, gives a little bit of recognition when a sales rep sells something. And if, reps are out in the field or whatever, they can look at the front and like, oh man, Jeff sold something, I got to put in the extra, effort to close this deal so my name can get posted into the group chat. Might sound cheesy, but that's the way the whole entire Facebook system works with likes and shares, because everybody loves the likes, and hey, look how many likes I got. So just the same type of thing, but it's done within your your sales department. So super low effort, high impact item that you can do in your sales team to increase sales results. Homeowners often ask for different options for their project. How can you quickly provide pricing on a variety of options without wasting precious time in the home? So this goes back, I'll just give you a little story when I used to do in-home sales. And the way that this thing came about was I had a homeowner. At the time I was using, I believe, an Excel spreadsheet, I think at this time. If I wasn't using the spreadsheet, it was the very first iteration of the pricing calculator, which eventually became Leap. I was pricing up windows, and there was a townhouse, and the lady had a homeowners association that required brown windows or beige windows, can't remember if it was brown or beige, on the front of the house. And in order to get that brown or beige, you had to get our top of the line window with, the upgrade, the beige upgrade. So she wanted me to price up the top of the line windows with the beige upgrade. And at the time, my pricing system, whether it was a spreadsheet or the first iteration of Leap, was set up to only price one style of window. So if you wanted the brown and beige, the whole house was getting brown and beige. If you wanted, the cheaper window, the whole house was getting the cheaper window. I did not have a way to price up different windows in a house. I just never thought that that would ever come up until this lady says she wanted the top of the line beige windows on the front. She wanted the same style of windows, but in white on the back. And then she had a sunroom, which was basically a screened-in porch that they had put windows in it. It didn't have any like heating, air conditioning, wasn't insulated. She didn't care about like the energy efficiency of the window, and she wanted the cheaper ones, the lower quality windows in the sunroom, just to replace them, make it easier to open and look nicer. So I had no way of doing this in the house. So when I left that appointment, I'm like, I'm never going to run into this scenario again, because what that required me to do is abandon the spreadsheet, let's say, that I was using, and then work up the numbers manually. So what we came up with is packages inside of Leap. And if you see in this little animation, this allows you to put the measurements in once and just toggle between all of the different options. This doesn't work for just windows. In this example, you're seeing it work with roofing. You can make it work with bathrooms and kitchens and any widget that you sell where it's a good, better, best option. What you're looking at in this little animation is predefined packages that were my go-to systems. So in the example I gave you, I would have one for my lower end windows, one for the middle of the road, and one for the top of the line with beige. And I could just toggle my finger across, and it would switch all of the windows in the house to those three kinds, and I could just calculate a price very quickly. If I wanted to price all the windows up like as a custom package, there's a little edit button. It's not shown in this animation, but if you click the little edit button, you can switch the individual line items to different things in each package. So now that lady could say, hey, give me a price on top of the line, middle of the road, and lower end for the three different parts of her house, and I could just go swipe, 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 and I now have that price for that homeowner. I didn't have to sit down and redo the math or tell them to, okay, well, give me a minute to work the numbers up, because that's precious time that I'm losing to build rapport, to overcome objections, and close the deal. Because now, as soon as I get that number worked up, I have to sell the homeowner on coming back to the kitchen table. And if I have both homeowners present, which is much more likely for me to close the deal then, I have to now sell both of them back to the kitchen table. And again, this one will also tie back to that whole professionalism thing, because homeowners are expecting everything instantly now. You go on the internet and you can just look up, you can Google anything. You go on Amazon, you get a price for whatever you want instantly. You go on Google, you get a price for whatever you want instantly. This is just one of those ones. I can just put everything instantly, look very professional in front of the homeowner. So with that, we'll take a water break. And actually, I am going to take a drink. And Kelly, if you want to jump in and tell me about our special offers we're running right now.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. That's been a lot of great information so far. Hope everyone is enjoying that. So while Steve takes a quick break, rests his voice a little bit, I want to tell you all a little bit about the special offers we have for everyone on our webinar today. So I'll go ahead and launch this little question while I tell you a little bit more about that. So it's actually a two-part offer. So for those of you on the call who don't already use Leap, if you sign up for a consultation with us to review your sales process, you'll be eligible for 2 months of Leap Pro for free. So that's 2 months, no cost to you. Give things a try, see how you like it, get a full review of your sales process for that consultation. So for those of you who are already using Leap, or once you become a Leap subscriber, we also have a great deal for you all with our partner CompanyCam. And CompanyCam is a digital photo platform that allows you to easily store and organize your job site photos. So works really, really well with Leap. So I definitely recommend checking them out. So they are offering for Leap users a 14-day free trial, of their CompanyCam Pro subscription level, and then 50% off of your first 2 months with CompanyCam after that trial period. So I definitely encourage everyone on the webinar to take advantage of that consultation if you're not already a subscriber to Leap, see what it's all about, and give things a try at no cost to you. for the first 2 months. So with that, I will go ahead and turn that back over to Steve, and we can carry on with the rest of the presentation.
All right, is my screen still showing? Should be. Shows it is.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yep.
Good. All right, let's jump right into the next slide. So this is one. Have you ever completed a job only to have the homeowner say that it's not the right color or the product that they actually purchased or ordered? This used to happen to me. I'm sure it happened to everybody who does in-home sales, where you write it down. I remember this one house that we installed an entire exterior of siding, shutters, gutters, trim, etc., soffit. And we installed it while the homeowners at work. We were pretty much done the entire house. They're cleaning up, and the homeowner gets home. He's like, "That's not the color I ordered." And we're like, "What do you mean it's not the color?" "Yes, it is. It says, slate stone gray or whatever. I don't know, whatever the color was right there on your contract." She's like, "It's whatever the contract says. I don't know what slate stone gray means. That's not the color that I picked when the sales rep was sitting at my kitchen table." And then I actually don't even remember exactly, but I know the production team handled that. I was a sales rep, but I turned it into them, and they do whatever they do to handle those types of things. I would imagine you refund the customer some money or something, to take it, or worst case scenario, you're going to have to rip the whole thing down and put it all back on if you want to get paid. So how do you prevent that using Leap? Well, the solution is you can actually include a color swatch. Because we do digital contracts and you're not handwriting stuff down, you can actually include the actual thumbnail of the item that you're selling the homeowner. So, and you can make this fairly large too. In this screenshot example that you're seeing here, it's with shingles, and it's an actual color swatch of the shingle, color and style that customer is buying, along with the name of the color. You can then also include maybe the brochure, the entire PDF, that goes along with that color, that style of widget that customer is buying. If you're selling maybe kitchens or bathrooms, like let's say you're selling a faucet, you can actually have a picture of the faucet show up on your documents that you send to the homeowner. And you can make this stuff kind of auto-populate too. So if you were to select a bath faucet from the estimate side, you can have everything in your price guide have a little thumbnail, and based on whatever color selection and option that they selected, that automatically populates onto their documents. So that when you send it to the homeowner and they sign off on it, when it comes time for installation and they say, "Hey, that's not the color I ordered," you can literally just point right to their document and say, "That is the exact color you ordered. Here is a color swatch that goes on your documents." So, I mean, this has saved a ton of butts, for customers who are using this thing, because now they can actually have full color images of the products on the documents. How can you increase the number of referrals you get from appointments? I had a buddy, luckily this was not for the company that I worked for, but I had a buddy that worked for a company where they would give their reps leads, but anytime they gave them a lead, that rep would have to replace it with another lead. So that meant the rep would go out in the field and, they have Mr. and Mrs. Jones sitting there. That rep was required to get, the easiest way to do it was to get a referral, a name and a phone number and address from that customer. And then what we did, we had a little form that we would fill out, or he had a little form that he would fill out that, he would turn that in, and then as long as he turned it in, he would get another lead. As long as he didn't have a deficit of leads, hopefully he get 2, 3 of them, and then he had a credit, whatever. But that was just a way for the company to generate more leads. It was very, very smart. So how can Leap make this easier for your reps to capture the leads? Well, we have a resources section in our application, and it allows you to put links to different websites. So you can put brochures, you can put videos, you can put like a little PowerPoint presentation or even an ebook, but you can also put a link to a website. And what we recommend to customers is to put a link to like a landing page on your website that is a lead capture form. And you can set that up to push directly into your CRM. So if the rep were in the house and has to, replace a lead, or he has a referral that he wants to capture, he can just click into Leap, go into his resources, click on his lead capture form, and fill in all the customer's information. You don't have to memorize anything. You don't have to open up a separate app, and everything is just there at their fingertips. If you need to update anything, you can just update your website, and all of your reps' devices will be updated because it's all done on the fly. All it's doing is just accessing your website. So another little hidden trick that a lot of our customers use to make it easier for reps to capture referrals. So what happens if there's an item on the contract that is not included in the final price, or an item was billed for but not ordered? There's so many times, it just comes from sales reps being in the field, and there's really no kind of transparency of what the reps are doing in the field. You don't have a sales manager sitting next to them knowing exactly what's going on and what's happening. So reps are filling out contracts, handwritten or even digital, and they're turning them in. And then, you usually have somebody else that has to interpret that document and kind of put the pieces together on what the sales rep sold with what actually has to be ordered and installed. So there are times when a rep will sell something and it is not included on the contract. I remember a time where I sold an entire house full of windows, and on the contract I wrote, replace all windows in house with new blah, 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 model 3000 windows, and I had it all down, and I wrote every individual window on the contract, like it looked like an Excel spreadsheet, and I wrote them all down. And it comes to the day of installation, and we replace all the windows in the house except the 2 in the garage. And the 2 in the garage were facing the street, and the customer's like, my contract said replace all windows in the entire house. And yes, it did, but it also outlined every individual window, which did not include the 2 in the garage, because the customer never took me into the garage to tell me that there were 2 windows in there. So I think we ended up just giving the customer those 2 windows. So how does Leap prevent this? You can link everything on the estimate side to exactly what's gets printed on the proposal or the contract side, no more and no less. So if you only have 10 windows, then only 10 windows print on the contract. If you, if you price up all the windows and you, it's called deactivating them, so that you can say, hey, what was the price if I don't include these 3? And the rep turns those 3 off, so then the price updates as if those 3 didn't exist. Well, then your contracts will also update so that those 3s do not exist. And it just eliminates that manual process that a sales rep would, take everything that they priced up and, and translate that over to a document. It just prevents that human error from happening. We will also upload a measure sheet to give you a snapshot of exactly what the rep had in the estimate at the time of resulting the lead. So then you would know how the rep got to the price that they either left the customer at or they sold the job at. So, basically just make sure that everything that the rep discussed in the house is exactly what gets printed on the contract. One other little cool thing I've seen contractors do, I think 1 or 2 contractors do, it's a little bit more extra work, but it's just a CYA, is to have a section for windows and then basically have the same exact section for not included windows, which are basically the same exact line items, but they have a price of 0. And as a rep is going in and pricing up all the windows, they would add in windows that are being replaced and add in windows that are not being replaced. And then when you get over to the contract, you would literally have every single window in the house accounted for, whether it's being replaced or not. And on the contract, it will say windows being replaced, here's all the details, windows not being replaced, and here's all the details. Next one, have you ever wondered what happened during an appointment, or if your sales reps are getting the most out of your pitch deck or your pitch book? This was one where, there are times sales reps, there is a lack of transparency. Sales reps are also, known to, want to do a little partying or, a little lazy or, all the above. And you really don't know what happened. They go to their appointment, they say they're still in their appointment, they're not answering their text messages, they're not answering the phone. You're trying to figure out, hey, I got another lead 15 minutes away from you. Are you almost done? Can I send you to that? Did you even run the appointment, or did you check out at 2 o'clock and go to happy hour or whatever it was? What is actually going on these appointments? Well, the solution is if you give Leap as their sales process, and everything that they do in the sales process, start to finish, is done in Leap, which is possible with Leap, then we're tracking everything like a breadcrumb history. So you could go back and in the screenshot that you see, you can see where, they cleared the button, they logged out, they refreshed the app, they went through what time their appointment was for, they updated the customer, they opened up different resources, they flipped to the different pages in the resources. A resource is basically like a pitch book or a brochure from a manufacturer. So you could tell, are they using the pitch books? How long are they using the pitch books? What flow? Did they do the pricing and then the pitch book? Did they do the pitch book and then the pricing? And this is not only for like a, hey, I caught you thing with your sales reps. I caught you doing something you shouldn't have been doing, or caught you not doing something you should have been doing. But this is also really good just to track a success. So you might have a sales rep that's just very consistent. You're trying to figure out, what is he doing different than all the other reps? This guy's closing at 60%, all my other reps are closing at 30%. What is the difference? And you can just go through their history and see if you notice any patterns. Maybe they're spending an extra 5 minutes on page 4 of the pitch book, or maybe they're, doing in a different order, and you can start picking the brain of that sales rep to know, what are you doing different, and kind of share that with the rest of the team to help elevate everyone in the organization. So this really opens up a whole lot of transparency into what's going on uh, during the leads that you spend so much money to give to your reps. You're making sure you capitalize on every opportunity that you're giving these sales reps by just knowing what's going on. Credibility. I've touched on this one a little bit earlier, but there's a stigma in the home improvement industry that leads homeowners to question contractors' trustworthiness right out of the gate. And I used to run into this where, in the home improvement or home services industry, there's just this stigma. A lot of it probably has to do with everyone knows someone who does home improvements. Like somebody who can install fence, somebody who can put your deck in, somebody who can paint or do drywall or whatever. But yeah, I might trust them, but I wouldn't, pay for the job up front or give them a deposit. I wouldn't want to give them a deposit up front. There's people ask me, hey, do you know anybody that does such and such? I'm like, yeah, I know a person, my buddy does that, but I would not recommend him to do it. I just, don't. I'd rather you go with a more established contractor to do it. So um, presenting yourself professionally in front of homeowners is kind of how you help alleviate this. So I'll go into homeowners. I would always, wear a nice button-up shirt. I would always wear jeans. I was always dressed nice. I always, I had manners when I walked into their house. Put little shoe booties on. One of those other ones is, just using technology, and that's kind of like where Leap comes into play. So you're going to present yourself in a much more professional image. The other one is using measurement tools. I used to use this going back to earlier in the slides. I talked about a cashier ringing up the items, and once you hit the total button, the customer's like, yeah, okay, yes, that's my total. I know the computer's going to do the math correctly. Well, there are tools out there that will kind of do measurements for you, specifically with exterior measurements. We have a direct integration with EagleView and Hover, and when I was measuring at the time, only EagleView was a thing, and I was able to use them to measure my roofing. What I would do is I would go into the customer's house, and I would order an EagleView report. They have what's called a quick squares, which you could get within like 15, 20 minutes. And I would order that, and I'd have the measurements come in, and then I would have a little PDF report that EagleView would send us. Hover does the same thing. That would have basically the customer's house and all the measurements on it to show that I could show them, hey, this is how I came up with the number that I'm about to present to you. And that added a lot more credibility to me as a sales rep, a little bit more. I felt more trustworthy to the homeowner, because I'm like, okay, look, this is how I came up with your measurements. This is your house. This is, we're using this technology, this satellite imagery, and the customer, can be, okay, yes, I understand how that works. And then when the computer then spits out a price, I then became more of a kind of a consultative approach, as opposed to like a salesman approach. Instead of me versus them, it was me with them versus the system, versus the machine or versus the company that, the pricing. And I was like, well, if you go with this or you go with that, and I was helping, consult them on which option to go with, which sales reps do, but it's just a hell of a lot easier once you're using technology to come up with the price. So that way I can then blame the sticker shock of the price on the homeowner. And then it also allows you, by doing it this way, you can provide the itemized estimates and contracts, so homeowners are more confident with moving forward with the project. So, if I spit that all out and show them like an individual line item, say, hey, look, this is how I came up with the end number. Customers are it's a little bit easier for them to swallow doing that than it is for, if I just chicken scratch $11,700 and slide that to them on a piece of paper. It's just not as believable as if I'm going through measurement tools, auto-populating, auto-generating a price, giving them good, better, best options, and then sending them or showing them a nice professional proposal that I can present to them on my iPad. The results of what happened on all of your appointments. So these are basically measure sheets. I say basically measure sheets. They're a little bit more than measure sheets, but I compare them to measure sheets because everybody usually generates a measure sheet. Most companies don't do anything with their measure sheets. It's just what a sales rep uses to come up with the numbers that they're going to present to the homeowner. However, measure sheets are very, very valuable if you can, get the information you want off of them. So a lot of times measure sheets, if you just look at the sales rep's handwriting, you can't even decode it. And even if you can decode it, it's incomplete. It don't have all the information on all the product selections and what measurements go with what section of the house it goes with, etc. Because you put everything inside of Leap, let me click my little bullet points. When you put everything into Leap, every appointment that your sales reps run can be resulted, and no matter if it's a sale or not, it will upload all that information back to the home office, whether it's directly into your CRM or it uploads it into an email account, or just into Leap in general, where you can log into our back end and get that information. You can also have it to where, like, a lot of companies will have sales reps where they forget to result their leads. I remember it got to the point that the company I worked for where they started putting fines in place, to where if you didn't have your appointment resulted within 24 hours, you would get a fine, because you were preventing other people from doing their job with the next steps that go with resulting appointments. So you you can have Leap set up to remind your sales reps, send them a little notification on their device, on their phone, to let them know that, hey, you have an appointment that hasn't been resulted and you need to go in there and result this information. Once you have all of this information, when a sales rep results a lead, you then have every bit of information you need to close that deal if a sales rep did not sell it on the first visit. So you have all the notes and the reasons that the sales rep typed in on why the customer didn't buy then. You also have all the measurements and product selections that the sales rep had discussed in the home. And if the sales rep had taken any pictures, which you can make a required field, then you will have all the photos. So we have companies who are using this along with all of our remote capabilities that I discussed earlier, such as remote payment captures, DocuSign requests, that you can send the customer a contract over the phone. You could have your rehash department, your sales manager, whoever it is, even the sales rep, call the customer back. You have every bit of information you need to close the deal over the phone and have them sign it and send it back. Repetition, don't waste time by duplicating information across multiple pages of an estimate or contract, or really anywhere inside of the application. So this is kind of where Leap was birthed. When I came out of training as an in-home sales rep, there are so many things that I was doing over and over and over again. The same math on every single lead that I ran, I was doing over and over again. The only thing I was changing were the quantities on each individual line item, but the math was exactly the same. So initially I built an Excel spreadsheet that redid all my math for me. The financing was the same process over and over and over again. The only thing I was changing was the customer's information, but I had to log into the app or fill out the credit application, and I was just doing the same processes over and over. And the same information I typed into the spreadsheet at the time was the same information I was typing into the credit application, which then was the same information that I was writing down on the contract. So, just duplicate double data entry is something nobody wants to do, and Leap has a solution for the problem. Leap allows you to put the information once, and it carries through every part of your sales process. What's also cool about this is a lot of the information you don't only have to put in once. If you use one of the CRMs that we directly integrate with, Leap will pull that information directly from the CRM, auto-populate it for the sales rep, and then as they're going through the entire estimating process, credit application, proposal, contract results, all of that customer information is carrying over. And like I mentioned earlier also about the credit applications, as I'm filling out a credit application, I only have to fill in one credit app. If I need to submit it to a second lender, all the information from the first app will carry over to the second one. So it'll save so much time inside of the house for your reps. So again, they can look more professional in front of the homeowner. They can spend more time building rapport, representing the company, overcoming objections, and closing more deals ultimately. Additional updates. So there's a onboarding health check thing that we had released. So this is kind of the last slide that I wanted to put in here about some new things that have came out. When you're onboarding with Leap, this basically is like a check that it will go through your entire account and say, here's some things that you're missing, here's some things that you might not have set up correctly, or here's some things we recommend that you should set up based on other things that you have set up. So if you already use Leap, this is just a new thing that you can go inside of the dashboard. I think it's underneath of account, the very last option, and then there should be like a health check that you can click on, and it'll basically do an audit of your account to let you know some things that are hidden. A lot of things on what we discussed on this webinar. And then one other little hidden carrot that we put in here was the ability to pull like a customer ID. This is only available in certain CRMs, so if you want more information on this, you can reach out to our support team, but it allows you to pull a customer ID directly from the CRM and have it auto-populate to all of your documents. So if you had like a unique ID number that was in the CRM and you wanted a contract to have that ID number on it. So if you're reviewing a contract, you just go into CRM, type in that ID number, and the rep don't have to do anything, it will just appear. We now have that functionality as well. And then, just digital in general, a lot of the stuff that we talked about here is just really going digital. A lot of the theme of a lot of our webinars is about going digital, and COVID has put, the pedal to the metal on this. And we have seen a lot of our remote functionality, like the remote signing, the DocuSign, the remote payment capture in general, skyrocketed. The usage skyrocketed since COVID hit. And our industry is one of the only ones that's left untapped with technology. I say this all the time. Contractors have an opportunity now to be at the tip of the spear, or if they don't, start adopting technology and start adopting it 100%, they're going to be left in the Stone Ages, because I promise you there's some companies that are out there that are using Leap, that are power users and this type of thing, and they're growing like weeds, because once they figure out this process and they get it digital, then it becomes super easy to replicate. And once you can replicate this process, it makes it so much easier to scale. Now it's just a matter of just putting bodies in place and following the process that you have created. And with that, Kelly, I don't know if we have any questions. I've seen a little chat bubble lighting up as I was going through this, if we want to go through any.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Steve. That was some awesome information there. I know that was a lot of info that we just covered in the last 45 minutes or so. So I definitely will be sending out the recording to everyone on the call. If there's anything you want to go back and reference, you'll have that available, as well as you can always ask questions and send those in to us as well afterwards if you think of anything. So now we'll have some time for Q&A. We do have a couple questions rolling in here. And while we go over that, I do just want to put up another opportunity for anyone on the call who wants to take advantage of the promos we talked about earlier. So we are offering that 2 months free of Leap Pro if you sign up for a consultation with on your sales process from this webinar, as well as that offer from our partner at Company Cam. So I'll leave that up for just a moment while we get into this Q&A session here. So the first question we have coming in from Mike is, how long does it take to get set up with Leap?
Right, so this one comes up a lot on these webinars. So getting set up, there is an onboarding process. However, we did just launch the Leap Pro, which actually is a coincidence that this poll is up here. But the Leap Pro is designed to allow you to kind of get your feet wet with the application. The Leap Premium, where it's like the all-you-can-eat package, where it just has all kinds of bells and whistles in it, you have to set all those bells and whistles up. And some people like to start to adopt it. And they get a couple of the bells and a couple of the whistles set up, but they don't have the full thing. But then they're paying for the full application, right? But they're only using a portion of it. So we've launched a Leap Pro product, which we're giving away for free. So you can get that thing set up. We have people that you can really download that thing. You don't even have to put your pricing in. You can do it kind of on the fly as you're pricing up your leads, and then you can start generating some digital documents and really making yourself look professional in front of the homeowner. So to get it set up, you could create an account, download Leap Pro today, spend 45 minutes to an hour just setting up like the email settings, like where you want your emails to go through, and you could really use that thing on your next lead. And then you go from Leap Pro, which what would you say, 2 months free we're giving away on that thing, and you could use that time to really get all the the couple of bells and whistles that are in Leap Pro set up. It'll cost you nothing, and then when you're ready, upgrade your account into a Leap Pro once you want to take the next leap, pun intended, into the next stages of your sales process. So to set it up initially, like the Leap Pro, very small effort, and then as time goes on, as you're using it, you can just build it on. And it's really up to you how long you want it to take from there. But we also launched, so one more thing I wanted to answer on that is we have seen a big spike. I guess it's probably because of COVID. People have more time to spend working in their business instead of on their business. No, working on their business instead of in their business, right? So many people are working in their business, the day-to-day. And Leap is one of those things where you're kind of working on the business to make your business better, to be able to grow. So if you don't have a lot of time to set it up, we have professional services now where you can say, hey, Steve talked about the such and such thing, the GroupMe integration on the webinar. Steve talked about this contracts and being able to do this on the contracts, or whatever it is, right? I've seen this video on how to do that. If you don't want to take the time to set it up, you can contact us, and we have a whole professional services team that can really get your account set up and take it to the next level. Some of our power users have utilized this, and they're reaping a lot of rewards from it, because we're setting this thing up and they're using 100% of the functionality of this application, really separating themselves from their competition. I hope that answered the question.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. That was great, Steve. If anyone on the call would like to, take advantage of the poll question that's up, go ahead and check that off now, and then I'll close that up so we can see Steve's face again here. Okie doke. All right. So we do have two questions that have come in from Holly. The first one here is, can we set up a block when Windows measurements fall outside of the min-max for a specified line item?
Set up a block. So you can do it on the contract, I believe. Support would know 100%, but I'm pretty sure they set it up when you're filling out a document, whether it's contract or proposal. You can have it based on what window came over from the estimate. You could have like dynamic cells that have minimum and maximum picker. So you wouldn't use the size picker. You would use a regular picker, and then the picker options would change. The sizes would change based on what a previous selection was. But
okay,
contact support,
perfect.
That's a very technical one, contact support, and they should be able to help you out with that.
Perfect. Yeah, Holly, let us know if that answers your question, okay? And follow-up question from Holly here. Can you set up a fail-safe for upgrades to make sure the additional charges are not missed?
Fail-safe that are not missed.
So if you have like custom line items,
making additional you can make additional details required. So if they add a line item or an upcharge, the additional details are required, but you cannot make upcharges required. So if an upcharge is required, then you should just build that into the price and maybe making an additional detail or a placeholder. So anything that's required that affects the price shouldn't be a toggle switch that you turn on and off. It should just be included in the price. And if you need a specification about it, then you put it in. There are ways that you can bring that information over. So that's another very, very technical one. I love it, Holly, because that means you're getting in deep in the weeds of Leap. But that one I would run through our support channel as well to know how to make an upcharge required, which you actually just build into the price and add additional details.
Okay, perfect. And Holly, I can follow up with you and get you in touch with support after this as well. Okie doke. Next question coming in from Tracy. Can I get a trial run or a test account with Leap to experiment with?
Yes, so you could get the free 2 months is the best way to do it, and start out with Leap Pro. Your time to value is gonna be much faster in Leap Pro. We can do a demo of it if you would like. A lot of the things that I showed you in this webinar will be included in that. All of the document functionality is included, all the resource functionality is included. You can connect it to your CRM. It just makes the onboarding process a lot shorter so that you can get to time to value a lot faster. So the short answer is yes, you can. Just sign up. You get it for 2 months. You can have a Leap account today. And we can reach out to you on this webinar if you want and have a rep set up an account. And you can play with it for 2 months when you're ready to upgrade or go from there.
Perfect. Okay, and then we have a question coming in from Sean. Does the credit card capture support QuickBooks?
Yes, so QuickBooks does support credit cards. It does not support checks, but we actually support close to 100 different credit card processors. And a lot of those credit card processors also support the checks. So if you have one of those credit card processors that support the checks, then you kind of get both. But we do support QuickBooks. If you already use them, you can really just hook that onto Leap now. And then all of your credit card transactions that you run through Leap, which is processed through your existing credit card processor. And that's not just for QuickBooks. I mean, if you use, like I can think of Authorize.net, and you have Fantif, and I mean, there's a ton of them out there. Like I said, there's close to 100. So if you wanted to use the secure payment capture, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be able to just plug into your existing credit card processor that you already use. So you won't have to change any of that. You just need to get some credentials, and we'll help walk you through setting that up if you wanted to turn that on.
Perfect. Okay. And looks like we're out of questions right now. So if anyone thinks of any additional questions or things, again, Steve, if you could just flip forward to the next slide for me there. That'll have our contact information on there. If you think of anything as you leave the webinar today, feel free to reach out, marketing@leaptodigital.com. That will come directly to me, so I'll be happy to answer or get an answer for you for anything that you think of after the session today. So I think that was great, covered a lot of information. Any closing words from you, Steve, before we wrap things up?
No, I mean, if you're not already using Leap, you should absolutely take advantage of the 2 months free. Check that thing out, and if you don't like it, worst you lost is a little bit of time in checking it out. But if you do like it, I promise you, it can change your business for the better. I've seen it hundreds of times through the companies who have already onboarded it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. We can definitely get you set up with one of our sales consultants and give you a run through and get you up and running ASAP with that. So as you leave the webinar today, you'll see a short survey pop up. So feel free to raise your hand and say, yes, I'd like to schedule my consult, and we'll get you taken care of. And we also would love to hear your feedback on today's presentation and hear about any topics. If you have anything you'd like to hear about for future webinars, we are all ears. We'd love to provide some content that is very interesting and engaging for you. So if you could take a moment and answer that as you leave the webinar today, we'd greatly appreciate it. So with that, thanks again, Steve, for your time, and thanks everyone for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.